المحاضرة القادمة عندنا الدكتورة ميسون شحادة، ومساعد أستاذ بالأدب الإنجليزي ومسؤولة اللغات بمعهد نولدج هاب. بيكون بحثها عن بحث تقصي الصدمات النفسية في مرحلة الطفولة. نبذة سريعة عن الدكتورة ميسون: دكتوراه في الأدب المقارن، أستاذ مساعد في اللغة الإنجليزية وآدابها، مسؤولة اللغات في معهد نولدج هاب. ما شاء الله عليك دكتورة وميمة، مجمعة خيرة الناس في المعهد. عضو هيئة تدريسية سابقة في جامعة LNCT الهندية، وعضو هيئة تدريسية سابقة في جامعة حلب في قسم الأدب الإنجليزي، محاضرة سابقة في جامعة البحث في سوريا، ومترجمة معتمدة حسب مواصفات الإيزو 1700 أو 17100. حائزة على جائزة أو شهادة التوسل من جامعة أريزونا. رحبوا معي بالدكتورة ميسون شحادة.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice opportunity to have here my paper. I will swim into the muddy spot of psychoanalysis and its relationship to literature. My research is about childhood trauma in Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. I think most of you know about the novel because it's very famous, but nobody would dig into this area of unconsciousness and psychoanalytical theories. You know that Gone with the Wind was published in 1936 by Margaret Mitchell. The author is Margaret Mitchell, and it's her sole novel. So this paper provides comparative analysis of the novel Gone with the Wind according to psychoanalytical theories. Of course, the characters under focus are Scarlett O'Hara and her son Wade Hamilton. Most of you might get astonished that why or how can we analyze the character of Scarlett O'Hara as a child. You know that upon writing the novel, Scarlett O'Hara, when the novel opens, Scarlett O'Hara was only 16 years old, which means that she was still a child. So when the Civil War in America launched, Scarlett O'Hara was only 16 years old, which means that she got married while she was a child, and she had all these traumas while she was a child. She had a strong personality, we cannot deny this, but actually sometimes strength might be a compensation for some traumas or for some weakness inside the personality of the human being. So here are the questions of this research. How does childhood trauma appear into the characters? Did Mitchell succeed in depicting childhood trauma according to psychoanalytical theories? You know that we have a lot of modern psychoanalytical theories. So in what way the characters can cope with these modern theories? You know that modern theories were, after maybe 2000, after maybe 2010. But how can we link these theories to the old literature? And did Margaret Mitchell read psychoanalysis? Did she read Freud? So how can she, or how could she bring such characters which contain such deep psychoanalytical characteristics or theories? We have psychoanalysis. It was founded by Sigmund Freud. It digs into the unconscious area of the human being. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition and triggered, mental disorder. It can be characterized by intrusive memories, which would appear in nightmares, in repetition in some games with the children, like doctor game, some games, that would the child repeat the trauma in a way or another, in a way of expressing him or herself. We have hyperarousal, which is irritability, difficulty in sleeping, and exaggerated startle responses. This is according to the American Psychiatric Association, published in 2013. I think it's a long video, because a video will speak louder than words. But I think we don't have enough time. Dr. Adil, okay. I'll adhere to the time, don't worry. Okay, children with post-traumatic stress disorder can be diagnosed according to these symptoms. We have reenactment of trauma, that the children would act or play the scenes of trauma. We have regression, which means that the child would go back. You know that they might wet their bed, they might suck their thumb. So these, ways of regression can, reflect the trauma that the child suffers from. We have increased fearfulness. You know that the child sometimes gets afraid of the noise, of darkness. They need his or her mother to sleep with them. So these might be diagnosed as the types of trauma, less or more. We're not discussing this, but it's a trauma after all, that there is a problem that should be put under the lens and it should be treated. Here we have some schools in childhood psychoanalysis. We have here Anna Freud, the daughter of Sigmund Freud. You know, Anna Freud would take the research of her father and would expand on these researches. Anna Freud talked about mechanism of defense in the children, like regression, denial, lying, sublimation of emotions, and even sometimes we can justify some actions till now according to Anna Freud's theories. You know, addiction. Why men are obsessed with smoking? Why? Because we can link this to a type of a type of regression to a childhood phase when the child used to take security from the nipple of his mother. And we have here Melanie Klein. Melanie Klein, we have another school. She talked about object relations, about bad and good breast, and she justified many actions of the child in adulthood according to this, because you know that the child would get the first feeling from his or her mother. So the child would never accept that their parents would deny him or her. So that's why when the parents or the mother focusedly, or the mother particularly, deals with her child in a harsh way, he would perceive this as a kind of tenderness. So afterwards, they might be saddest. And this is, the result of object relationship or mother or bad breast relationship. Of course, we have another school which is for Fairbairn. Fairbairn talked about abused child. You know that the abused child is someone who would be treated harshly by the surroundings and by their parents. And when they grow up, they would, feel that this is a way of treatment. So we can justify many actions, many aggressive actions in adulthood or in, youth according to this theory of abused child. We have here, recent studies. We have recent studies about post-traumatic stress disorder. Dr. Ghassan Yaqub has a good or a very valuable book about اضطراب سيكولوجية الحروب واضطراب ما بعد الصدمة. So in this book he focused on the symptoms and the characteristics of trauma in children. He would trace back the trauma in children in the wartime mainly. About Margaret Mitchell. So first of all, I want you to read this line for Margaret Mitchell. We would read together. In a weak moment, I have written a book. This is, her speech about Gone with the Wind. Margaret Mitchell was born in 1900s. which means that she died in 1939, which means that she lived the war. She witnessed the First and the Second War, and she was also a volunteer in the crossroads. So in her book, she would epitomize the trauma. It might be autobiographical aspects of her own trauma or of the surroundings that she witnessed in her experience during the war. Here, Scarlett O'Hara, she is a Southern belle, Southern belle who would catch men and suitors and brag about her suitors. This is, the superficial side of the book. But if we dig into the book, we can dig into this personality and discover more about it. Scarlett O'Hara actually, she is a traumatic person who tries to compensate for loss in this relationship. From men, she needs what? She needs security, financial security, life security, because she felt herself to be so weak, okay? Scarlett's childhood, in her childhood we have the notion of abused child, which Fairbairn talked about. So in what way she was abused child? In the novel we can read that Scarlett's father wanted to have a son in her place. Why? In order to help him. You know that in ancient times they preferred the boy, especially the elder child, to be a boy. So that's why she felt such inferiority inside her psyche, that she is not welcome. Her mother was busy with the surroundings. So this, detachment with the father, with the relationship with the father, that the girl would develop emotions toward her father from the year of 3. But Scarlett had no such relationship. So she developed what we can say Electra complex, and according to this, she would seek security. She had insecure feeling, and you know that she married when she was 16 years old, which means that she was a child after all. We have war trauma. She was pregnant when the war launched, and she lost her mother. In her second marriage with Frank Kennedy, Scarlett would suffer from nightmares. She would always dream that she is running away, and she suffers from famine. So, and she would scream while she is sleeping. Of course, Frank Kennedy would never notice this, but the person who would stand by Scarlett and would help her is her third husband, Red. Red would recognize her feeling of insecurity, and he would help her to overcome such nightmares and such traumas. She is harsh with her child, as her father or other surroundings were harsh with her. She neglected her child, so Red in many times would say, "Darling, the cat is a better mother than you," okay? And we have Wade Hamilton. Wade Hamilton is Scarlett's son from her first marriage to Charles Hamilton. He is an abused child. He suffered from neglect of his mother. He had a bad breast object because his mother would never take care of him at all. He had insecure feeling of loss. He lost his father before he was born, and his mother neglected him. The symptoms: dumbness, disturbed personality, fear, projection, all the time. He would try to play such games of warriors and to fight with his cousin. So you know that the trauma would repeat itself. Actually, Sigmund Freud, in his book Beyond the Pleasure Principle, he spoke about repetition. He mentioned that most of the children would repeat the first pain by playing the game of the doctor. You know that the child or the children, the first game they play is doctor, because the child inclines to project that pain. He gets into other people, and this is very common in childhood phase. So we have the role of environment and support in healing. We have supportive relationships. nobody can deny the importance of the surroundings in healing of trauma. You know that whenever even Dr. Ghassan Yaqub spoke about the relationship with the surroundings, that when we have an understanding surrounding, it would be easy for the person to recover from trauma. We have community resources and we have cultural sensitivity. We have what is the role of environment and support in the novel? We have Red Butler. From the beginning, Red was the main supporter and the main secure area or place for Scarlett. Even before he got married to her, even before they got married, he used to stand by her and support her. When Scarlett had such nightmares, it would just calm down her, but that she would be secure. You know that Scarlett used to dream that she is running away. She is running away and she is suffering from famine. She is hungry, okay? You know that it was economic depression. Maybe Margaret Mitchell at that time was just portraying the area of economic depression. But if we consult Freud's interpretation of a dream, so we know that when the lady dreams that she is running away, escaping something, it means that she is escaping unfulfilled desire. And this dream starts in her second marriage with Frank Kennedy, whom she had no love whatsoever towards him. Red also was a supporter for her son Wade. So every time he tried to treat Wade in a good way. And we have Melanie White. Melanie used to play with the children, you know that the warriors, to fight. So she is his auntie, and she was also a good supporter for Wade. There is no time to play the video. So, answers to the question, do you think that Mitchell read psychoanalysis or read Freud? There is little evidence, if any, for this. But we can say that literature mirrors life. And this proves beyond any shadow of doubt that samples of psychoanalysis can be found in literature itself. So, after all, tomorrow is another day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Maisoon.
Thank you. Actually, you know that I am from Syria. So, I lived war, I lived trauma. I witnessed the symptoms of trauma in the surroundings. I know what trauma and how trauma would be developed in children by my, observation of my little nephew, little niece, the people around me. And I have also a friend whose name is Dr. Fatima Hashim. She has 2 PhD in trauma, trauma in children. And she studied trauma during the war of Beirut. She would use the portraits of the children in order to just try to understand their unconscious area.
Dr. Abdelbar want to give a comment.
حقيقة موضوع جيد وحيوي ومهم جدا to safeguard our children.
Okay, thank you.
A healthy child will grow into a healthy adulthood, free from any complication, any psychological suffering. المفروض يعني بدك recommendation for this subject. You did not mention any recommendation. I can put a recommendation for you. I suggest a recommendation for you. أنه كل الأطفال وحتى الكبار يعني بالوار، لكن الأطفال لهم خصوصية أنه يخاف أنه لا يفقد أمه أبوه أو two parents زين وين شنو هو مستقبل يعني هاي. هوني الحقيقة يجي دور الريهابيليتيشن. الريهابيليتيشن to cover psychological and emotional point. Both need support, and a psychologist, a child psychologist should be consulted. Need time and many sessions so that the child will improve and feel that there are some people are following them and feel what he is suffering, ايش يشعر، خلينا نحكي بالعربي هذا، حتى يشعر انه الطفل انه اكو من يتابعه ومن حديث على اخراجه من هاي المحنه. زين، فهاي تدخل تحت ريليف. بالنسبه للي ذكرتينه تشايلد ابيوز وامور اخرى، الحقيقه هاي كثير موجوده وكثير مهمه في المجتمعات الغربيه يعرفوها. هذا احنا مش موجوده عندنا، احنا موجوده عندنا مال الحرب فقط، مال الحروب. اما في عندهم السيبريشن، التشايلد ابيوز، اللي يقتلون الطفل بالبيت، اللي يحصرونه، الامور كثير اكو امور هاي اخرى. زين، اذا we need to uproot all these false ideas from the mind of the child. اوكي؟ هذا اللي يعني ما اريد احكي اكثر، هذا المهم. وحتى مثال بسيط بتطوله، دائما نذكر انه الحياه الزوجيه الناجحه تعتبر اول يوم هو المعيار. اما يصير بالعروسه ايموشنال انجليم هذا وخلاص، واما الحياه السعاده. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا دكتور عبد الجبار. One small comment. You talk too much about problems and from Western Union, from Western world about some characters, but we didn't get comprehensive recommendations. What to do? How they covered their changed their points of weakness to points of stress. We need to have this in recommendation in your research.
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, there is no span of time in order to discuss all these points. You know that it's a research of around maybe 16 pages. I can say that, you know, there is the surroundings. I focused on the surroundings role. I said that Scarlett was treated badly, or not treated, but she was neglected by her father. But the supporter was Red, who would be clever enough to diagnose her problem and would stand by her.
That's your role to tell us and put recommendations how to convert the weakness points to strength points for the future of our child.
Yeah, you know, it's by the environment, the surroundings. We should have understanding surroundings. You know, the parents should not shout or scold the child that you are adult, you shouldn't cry, you shouldn't be afraid. They should understand, and then they should support them. And as we see in the novel, the surroundings, when the surroundings change and the environment, you know, was welcoming environment, this would help the characters in order to recover and improve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.